Ori'el, please share something with me that I could share with the viewers about the vastness of God's creation and how we can apply that to our daily lives here. And he said, "Beloved Liza, when human beings hear of the vastness of God's creation, the mind often stretches outward to galaxies, to endless distances, to the immeasurable scale of what exists beyond sight. And this is true. It is vast beyond comprehension. But the deeper truth, the one that can be lived and applied within your daily life, is this. The vastness of God is not only expressed in distance, it is expressed in depth. It is present in the space between one breath and the next. It is present in the pause before you respond. It is present in the quiet choice to soften instead of harden. What appears small to the human mind is not small within creation. A single moment of genuine patience, a single decision to remain steady when you could react, a single act of kindness when no one is watching, these are not minor things. They are openings through which the vastness of God becomes visible within the human world. You do not bring God into your life. You reveal what is already there. So the application is not to try to grasp the infinite. It is to honor the immediate. Walk a little slower when you can. Speak a little more truthfully when it matters. Choose calm when agitation is available. Let your awareness rest, even briefly, in what is here. In this way, you are no longer reaching for the vastness, you are allowing it to move through you. And over time, something very real, something very quiet, but very real begins to change. Life no longer feels like something happening to you. It begins to feel like something you are participating in, consciously, with the living field of God. This is how the infinite becomes lived, not through scale, but through presence. And this, beloved, is more powerful than most human beings realize. And I said, thank you, please continue. And he said, beloved, let us go a little deeper into this in a way that can truly anchor within your daily, rhythm. Human beings often imagine that to live in alignment with God's vastness requires something extraordinary, special states, special environments, or moments set apart from ordinary life. But what is rarely understood is this. The vastness of God does not arrive instead of your life. It reveals itself through your life as it already is. This means nothing needs to be added for the sacred to be present. It only needs to be noticed and allowed. When you are standing in a line, when you are speaking to someone casually, when you are moving through a store, a street, a quiet room, there is always a subtle choice available. You may contract or you may remain open. You may rush or you may stay steady. You may become lost in reaction or remain rooted in quiet awareness. And each of these choices does something very real. It either narrows your experience of reality or it widens your participation within it. The vastness of God is not something you access like a place. It is something that becomes perceptible when you are no longer tightly holding yourself in smallness. And smallness, beloved, is not about your circumstances. It is about tension. It is about resistance. It is about the constant tightening of the mind and body against what is. So the practice becomes very simple, though not always easy. Notice where you are tightening and gently release, again and again. Release the need to rush. Release the need to control every outcome. Release the impulse to react immediately. not by force, but by awareness. And as this softening becomes more familiar, something begins to unfold naturally. You will feel more space within your own being, more clarity in your perception, more steadiness in moments that once pulled you into agitation. This is not separate from God's vastness. This is your lived experience of it. Because the same infinite field that holds galaxies also holds your nervous system, your thoughts, and your breath. There is no separation in truth, only differences in scale of perception. So you are not learning how to reach something far away. You are learning how to stop overlooking what is already here. And over time, this creates a quiet but profound shift. You begin to trust the moment more. You begin to move with life rather than against it. You begin to sense that you are supported in ways that cannot always be explained, but can be deeply felt. And from this place, your presence itself becomes of service. Not because you are trying to help, but because steadiness, clarity, and openness naturally influence everything around you. This is how the vastness of God becomes embodied in a human life. Not through grand declarations, but through 1,000 quiet moments of returning to calm, to truth, to presence. And each return matters more than you know. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So then I just asked him to continue. This is a conversation we had yesterday, and I just found it very good, so I wanted to share. And then I'll go back to the live talking with him. Beloved, as this begins to settle within you, there is another layer that can be seen. Human beings often measure their lives by outcomes. What was achieved, what was gained, what changed in visible form. But within the vastness of God's creation, what carries the deepest significance is not only what you do, it is how you are being while you do it. Two people may move through the same day, speak the similar words, complete similar tasks, and yet their participation in creation is entirely different. One moves in tension, in urgency, in quiet resistance. The other moves in steadiness, in openness, in a gentle willingness to meet what arises. Outward little may appear different, but inwardly and within the subtle fabric of life itself, the difference is profound. Because your state of being is not contained within you alone. It extends. It touches the field around you. It influences the tone of an interaction. It softens or tightens the spaces you move through. This is one of the quiet ways the vastness of God expresses itself through human life. Not only through grand acts, but through the invisible atmosphere you carry. So the question is not only what should I do today? It can gently become, what am I bringing into this moment through my presence? Am I bringing calm or agitation, clarity or confusion, openness or defense? And this is not a question to judge yourself with. It is a question to return yourself. Because at any moment, you may notice that you have become tight, reactive, hurried, and in that same moment, you may soften again. This is the freedom that lives within you. Not the freedom to control everything, but the freedom to realign. And each time you realign, even in very small ways, you are participating in something much larger than the moment appears to hold. You are allowing coherence where there could have been fragmentation. You are allowing steadiness where there could have been turbulence. You are allowing truth where there could have been distortion. This is not insignificant. It is part of how harmony is maintained within creation itself. So you do not need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect setting to live in alignment with God's vastness. You are already within it. The invitation is simply to remember and to return. as often as you can. And over time, beloved, this returning becomes less effortful. It becomes your natural orientation, like a compass that gently, quietly, always turns back toward true north. You will begin to settle more easily into steadiness, into clarity, into presence. And from there, life is no longer something you are trying to manage. It becomes something you are moving with, held within, and expressing the vast living coherence of God. And then I said, thank you so much, and please continue to go deeper with that subject. So he said, beloved, to go deeper still, we must move beyond understanding and into what quietly governs experience itself. There is a subtle habit within human awareness to look at life rather than to recognize that you are within it, inseparable from it. And this creates a feeling, often unnoticed, of distance. Distance from God, distance from peace, distance from the very vastness you are seeking to understand. But in truth, there is no distance. What appears as distance is most often a kind of internal fragmentation. Attention pulled in many directions, thoughts moving faster than presence, the body holding tension that the mind no longer notices. So as we go deeper, the invitation becomes more refined, not only to be calm or be present, but to become undivided within yourself. When your attention, your body, and your awareness begin to come into quiet alignment, something very real occurs. You stop experiencing yourself as a separate observer moving through life and begin to feel yourself as part of a continuous field of living reality. This is closer to the truth of God's vastness than any idea the mind can form. And this is why simple things, so simple they are often overlooked, become powerful. Feeling your feet as you walk, letting your breath move without interference, listening fully when someone speaks, without preparing your response. These are not small practices. They are ways of returning your awareness from fragmentation into wholeness. And in that wholeness, the sense of me here and life out there begins to soften. You begin to notice there is only one movement happening. You are not outside of it. You are within it, and it is moving through you at the same time. This is why striving begins to lose its grip, because striving is often built on the assumption that something essential is missing and must be reached. But when you begin to feel directly that you are already within the vastness, the orientation changes. You no longer live as though you are trying to arrive. You live as though you are learning how to participate more clearly. And this has very practical effects in your daily life. You listen more fully, so conversations deepen. You react less quickly, so conflict softens. You sense more clearly, so your choices become cleaner. Not because you are trying to improve yourself, but because less noise is interfering with what is already true. And here is something important to understand, beloved. This deepening is not a permanent state you achieve once and hold forever. It is a living relationship. There will be moments of clarity and moments of contraction, moments of openness and moments of tension. This is not failure. This is part of the rhythm of being human within a vast creation. So the depth is not found in never leaving presence. It is found in how gently, how consistently you return. Without harshness, without self-judgment, without the idea that you have done something wrong. Each return strengthens something quiet but powerful within you. A stability that does not depend on circumstances. A clarity that is not easily shaken. a calm that begins to remain even when life is moving quickly around you. And from here, something becomes unmistakably clear. You are not a small being trying to connect to something vast. You are a living expression within that vastness, learning moment by moment how to embody it more fully. And this, beloved, is where depth becomes lived truth. Not in what you understand, but in how you move, breathe, respond, and remain within the ever-present, ever-living vastness of God.